The following is a production of Fenix Media. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the company or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.
What's up, bees?
Hello.
Welcome to the Brit on Blast podcast, where we put everything and anything on blast. What's this week's roundup, Britton?
This week we have Jessie Corletto on the show, and I'm so excited for this interview. I think that you guys are going to gain so much insight to just how to run a business successfully, and on top of that, how to just like manage your time and really dream big and know that nothing is out of reach if you can work hard and, have good work ethic and just treat people with kindness and respect. And Jessie does all those things. So by just him telling his story, it's just going to be a really valuable pod.
I know what I do know of Jessie so far is really enlightening and awesome, and all the things he's done over his career have been pretty insane. He has quite the resume.
He does.
And I love that every time you see him, no matter, I never know what's going on in his life because he's always smiling, and he has a great smile.
So calm.
Yeah. So
he's cool as a cucumber 24/7.
Yep. That's what we appreciate about him.
Yeah. Appreciates.
So, we appreciate it. Well, do we have any local events this week?
This week, what am I doing? We are open at the Babe Cave. And then we're going to be at the Elm Estate with Murdock's hats. BLFT will not be there, but our hat line will be there for the Art Town events that's happening every Thursday. And then I'm going to be at Club Pilates Northwest on Friday from 10 to 2 with the truck.
Ooh.
Saturday open at the Babe Cave. And yeah, that's it. What about you?
I am going to be Thursday night. I have Art Town. I'll be I think on Vassar Street. Like, it's closed down.
Cool.
And then outside the Virgil. And
awesome.
Like, the coffee shop right there. So excited about that. I don't know the times because we just moved into a new studio. So I'm pretty much blackout. I don't really know where I am.
Haven and Flux has headquarters. That's so awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, we have a Haven and Flux headquarters soon.
Big moves. Yep. It makes it so much better, and you can separate your work and life.
I know Christian just asked me what I'm going to do with all the space that was the candle studio in the front of the house, and I was like, I'm going to put a big couch there. Nice. And then I'm going to sit on it.
Gonna relax.
And I'm going to watch football. Like, I just have to get it all set up by football season, which is like so soon, and that's the joy of my life.
You got to get those Chargers games in.
I got to get all the games in. All the games and the fights.
Awesome. Well, should we get into it? Yeah.
Do you don't want to tell people how your week was, or what's? We're done with that.
We can.
No, we don't have to.
I mean, go ahead. How was your week?
No, I don't. That was my week.
Okay.
Moved into the studio.
Same. My week was.
I'm just seeing we have 4 minutes left, and we've never in the history of Brit on Blast ever stopped early.
You know that Jessie's interview is going to go way on.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
So, Britt, because this is in your wheelhouse, why the Automobile Museum?
I mean, for me, it's about the cars all day long. I love cars. I like old cars, new cars, all the things. For me, the fact that they have the DeLorean here and the Batmobile in the same room is like, it makes my heart happy. So that's why for me, but I think for like someone like us, like doing things with all of our friends, like 160 of our close friends could go to the theater.
In any movie that you want. They have so many things to offer. The space camp for your kids, if you need a little break or you want to look at the cars. Reno's just really lucky to have it. It's one of the biggest collections, I think, in the country, which is awesome.
It's so cool. And the fact that it's here in the biggest little city is like the coolest thing ever. So grab a bottle of tequila and come on into the theater.
Yes, Back to the Future.
Get all your friends, 160 of them, so the whole town of Reno.
So everyone you know.
And watch a movie.
Yep.
You can find tickets at the automuseum.org.
Yeah.
And that's where you go get your tickets.
Perfect.
Fun day. All right, so you guys know that I live for Western wear, specifically my boots and my hats. So I want to talk a little bit about a brand new brand that is new to Reno, Nevada, and is from our beautiful babe over here. So Britton, tell us what Murdock's is.
Well, first of all, hats have been one of my truest loves since I was a kid. I swear I had a hat on in every single picture as a child. And then they quickly became a BLFT signature. We couldn't find the hat that was just perfect. And so we decided to design our own. Murdock's is a family brand that started in the great state of Nevada in the 1950s. My great-grandparents started Murdock's Western wear. Fast forward 60 years, the Murdock sisters recreate this homegrown brand by curating a hat line that embodies the spirit of Nevada. We were raised in this amazing state, and we watched a Nevadan's ability to put in a hard day's work on the ranch, followed by a hard night's play at the casinos. We pulled inspiration from the everyday beauty around us, the sunsets, Lake Tahoe, the mountains, and the forest.
I'm not gonna lie, I have full body chills right now because you hit so many nails on the head just now. Like, there's nothing that screams Reno, Nevada more than family and community and a little bit of Western. So the fact that you put all of our favorite things together and then you made it all about like bringing back the roots of your family brings me so much joy. Y'all need to check out Murdock's hats. Where do you find them?
Murdock'sHatsAndApparel.com.
We love it. Go shop, y'all.
Jesse Corletto is one of the most dynamic guests we've had on the show. I say this because he has been successful in so many different areas of business and life. His resume proves he is a serial entrepreneur, successfully starting and selling multiple businesses. But what makes him so unique is that he kept his full-time job as a firefighter throughout the entire time he was running these businesses. He founded an apparel line called Britton and Fox, and his designs made it into the stores such as Gap, Urban Outfitters, and Forever 21. He was the president of Passport Licensing, which was a brand development, full package apparel manufacturer, distributor, and licenser. Pretty much anything you need when you start a company, Passport handled. In his most recent project, you are all going to be familiar with, the amazing Record Street Brewery and the Alpine, the well-known brewery, eatery, and event space here in Reno, also home to the infamous BLFT Ladies Night. But really on top of all of this, Jesse is just a good dude. He gives back to the community with massive projects that I hope he will share with us today. And even though he is beyond busy, he always takes time to get to know people, and he values people. You guys will understand what I'm talking about by just listening to him tell his story. So let's get into it. Britt, you want to ask the first question? And thank you so much for being here, Jesse.
Seriously.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. Excited.
I am blown away. I mean, we've touched on some of the things that you've done in your many lifetimes, it seems like at this point. And you've done so many different things. So give us a rundown of what got you started with the jobs you've had and a little bit of background. Kind of like give us the rundown, like how did it start and how did you get to where you are? Like, how did you go from apparel to the restaurant industry?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, being a fireman was my passion. And as well as a gateway to, use and build upon as far as, getting into business. At the time, really, no one was, handing out checks or, the banks, were unapproachable, for any entrepreneur to start in business. So I figured, I become a firefighter, and save my paychecks and start my own business. And that's pretty much what I did with Passport Licensing, which owned my apparel line called Britton and Fox. And that apparel line was something that, I was pretty passionate about, but I needed to really dream big on that because, it was going to be something that I was determined to get into big box retail. Mm-hmm. And that was one of, the goals that I set. I didn't want to be your, mom and pop's, little retail shop on Main Street, right? So I was dreaming big and, mm-hmm. Setting, high goals to where, every step that I was taking and trying to get there, I was achieving and, taking it to the next stage and, getting into big box retail. And, it was a fun business to own and be part of, but as well, very, very challenging. And if you don't have the grit, the hustle, to put into it, you're not going to be successful,
I can't imagine. I mean, I obviously am in the production side now, but I had been in apparel and retail accessories sales for like from wholesale to everything for so long. And that just the characters that are in that space are so intense and over, like, it's a really like rough. I think that like people see fashion and they think it's pretty and fun, but the character that attracts that is like really can be very hard to work with sometimes. I have found in my life anyway that like, and when you go into it and you're like, okay, I just want to create like a sick thing and like make it a big thing. Once you get to the big dogs, you're like, what in God's name? Like, what is happening here?
No, and I agree with that. And that's the way the business is. But, I've always told, young entrepreneurs it's a game of chess, not checkers, right? Yes. So you want to put yourself ahead of that next person that you're competing with. And by doing that, I mean, you're setting your brand a step ahead of, that, to the consumer, closer to the consumer, besides that brand that you're competing with. Right. And, the things that you could do is, that I was doing at the time was studying the market. Gosh, I remember taking a collection in a clothing rack downtown LA in a fashion district, going through all the sales reps, high-rise buildings. I was going floor to floor, knowingly that I wasn't going in there to drop off my product or have them pick it up, to say, but I was just going in there to get their feedback and what they touched from the clothing rack. And these were the buyers. These were the big buyers that had the relationship with big box retail. And my clothing rack was, it was packed. It was full. And I was just rolling it down the street from floor to floor in the fashion district. And, as they were picking out, selecting, saying, oh man, this shirt is really, really cool, I would, put a little piece of tape on it. You know what I mean? And right there, I was studying the market, not just from the consumer side of, of the business, but also the buyers, the big box retail buyers. And I got to say that really set me apart from everyone else when I started going to the trade shows like Magic, Coterie in New York and, Vegas and stuff like that. So, it just really took my brand to the next level.
Yeah. Anytime you can get in front of the person buying, whether it's consumer or retailer, and see how they're responding to your line is so helpful. It is.
That's everything there, because that's another step as an entrepreneur that you achieve, and you're able to set another goal in front of yourself to, keep that drive, that hustle going. Because if you don't have those and you go into the business just thinking they're just going to buy it because they're going to buy it, right? You're way behind the ball game.
Right. I just hired somebody and I was like, just so you know, we're not selling to us.
Yeah.
We don't sell to us. Okay. We get free candles. So
right.
Consider what we're like, who our demographic is. Like, I need you to think about that when you're doing marketing. But
it would be so much easier if you were selling to yourself. I mean, do you know how many things we carry that I'm like, this is not my style, but if it sells, it's worth it,
Right. Question for you real quick before we continue on with the next question.
For it.
That you're talking about a time period, and I'm just assuming, like, is this around 2008 when you started this by chance? Because I moved to Southern California in 2008 and it was rough go down there at that time.
Yeah, it was actually starting around 2008 and, sold the company in 2011. Okay. And, it was tough. It was challenging.
I was right down the street from you at Fenix.
No way.
Yeah.
That's too funny.
Yeah, it was. And just if you have not been to for our listeners, if you haven't been to the fashion district,
oh my gosh,
it's not a pretty place.
No,
okay,
it's not a pretty place,
it is the grittiest, grossest place I've been. I've traveled all over the country, and I'm telling you, that's probably the grossest place I've been.
But the way I viewed it, and I view life in itself is, with that comes opportunity. You know what I mean? So. I'm always seeking that, right? So, like I said, I'm always dreaming big. And no matter in what stage you're in life, I think that's what drives and makes people successful. So,
I love that.
Definitely. Jesse always sees the positive in every situation and always is looking for the solution instead of like getting wrapped up in the negative or the details on why something can't happen. He's like, okay, but how can we get there in a positive way, and like goes around it. It's
I
just
love that.
crazy. Yeah.
I need to work on that. Practice.
So you've recreated yourself obviously so many times, changed career paths, and that's something that's not really easy to do. So give our listeners and give us a little insight on how you get through those transition periods and how you've reached success every time. Because I know that didn't happen without some adversity.
No, I mean, that's the challenging part about it, right? And, I kind of don't view it as recreating myself, because everything I do, in the different companies, it's always with one passion in mind, right? Is brand development, telling the story of each brand. Now, what's behind each brand, that's really the dream, right? Is you got to work and take those steps to learn that business, either be, for instance, for myself, either be in the apparel side of things, the designing the brand was my passion, and that development there, getting to study the consumers and how they buy and what time frames and, the buyers for the big box retailers, that's, the grit, the hustle, that's the dream right there that you're working towards. Going to Record Street and, the beer manufacturing, I call it, because it's really what it is. Designing the brand of Record Street, is a passion. It was easy, it just wasn't, I wasn't recreating myself. I was just designing, brand development, side of things, telling the story of Record Street and what it is. Same thing with the Alpine, that is a music venue, but I wanted to present something different that, Reno didn't have at the time or doesn't have, is, designing something that people just enjoy, and telling that story about the Alpine. So everything behind it, is just the work that goes, in building a business. And that's the passion, and the hard work and grit that you got to put into it. And, I got some other businesses, that I'm working on right now and brand developing that, are going to be pretty awesome. I'm really excited about them. And, it just keeps, developing, right? Because it's just, it's something that I'm passionate about. And, consumer market is something that's always going to be there. It's a necessity, right? So, I love to, get into those lanes of businesses and brand develop.
So Britt, why intentional candles for mental health?
Because building healthy habits around your intentions can have a positive impact on not only your mental health, but your overall productivity. I wanted to create a premium non-toxic candle that reminded my customers that life is complex and we can live in the and space. Talking about mental health and mental illness doesn't always have to be scary or depressing. Sometimes it can be fun and enlightening. We are wildly unique and expansive creatures, as we've talked about on the podcast before, and we can be many things in a day. And sometimes we just need to light a candle to remind ourselves who the fuck we are and what we are capable of.
I 100% agree with that. Plus, your candles smell so good and they fill up my whole house. I hear you have something special for our listeners.
I do. I have a little promo for our bees. Y'all can head to havenandflux.com and use code BOB20 at checkout to get 20% off your order. I hope y'all enjoy.
So kind of what I'm hearing is like brand development is obviously your passion, but like the Brighton and Fox was like a building block for you, and you took that experience and put it towards Record Street and the Alpine, and then now you're taking that experience and putting it towards your next project. So kind of in transition periods, it's like take what you've learned along the way and then use that as your building blocks for setting yourself up for success in your next, I don't know, your next challenge, next
venture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. Bright and Fox taught me a lot. It taught me, how to fail, because I did a couple of times and going and growing that business. But it taught me how to keep going, keep moving. And if, no one else is going to treat your business the way you treat it as an owner, you know what I mean? So you have to learn how to get up and dust yourself off and keep going and dream big. And that's what's really going to keep you going is the big dreams, that everyone aspires for, in building a successful business. So, because you're going to learn, and you'll see as entrepreneurs, you're always going to venture off to something else that you're going to apply what you learned in your previous business to the new venture.
So something that actually just hit me when you were saying that with BLFT, when I was starting that, I was 25, and I felt like it was a huge dream at the time. And I was like, I'm going to buy this truck, and everything that I thought was like unattainable or that I was dreaming about would be best case scenario has come to fruition, has happened. And so what that's teaching me now is that you can't dream big enough. And I manifested the truck. Like it was just something that came to me. Like everyone was like, what is a pop-up shop? What are you doing? This is not going to work. And it felt like so outrageous, but now moving forward, I'm like, okay, if everything came true, because it wasn't easy, but if everything came true, like now I need to dream way bigger, because what is the limit?
That's right.
So, obviously you do that, but I think maybe going through it is what kind of teaches you that it's attainable.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in that right now. Like you just saying that, because you created something very inventive. And so I'm very much like, I made candles. Like we make candles, we sell candles. They're great candles. We have a great mission behind it. Like
great
very
branding.
Passionate.
Yes.
Great branding. I'm very passionate about branding. I feel like we have that in common. But I'm now moving into this new space, and I just hired somebody, and they kind of had to happen at the same time.
Right.
And they're like, for me, like that's a big step, and felt like a little overwhelming, and kind of felt like a little too soon, because I'm from like the school of hard knocks where I do everything myself. And so for me, I was like, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, okay, no, this is just the necessary next step for you to make. Like you have to get through this. Like because I'm in the scary phase right now, where like it's not really scary. Phase. We're safe. Like everything's safe. Everything's good. But like, I just have that scarcity mindset happening. I can feel creeping in. Like I'm not sleeping great right now again. Like, and we always talk about that. It's like you go into a new phase, and I'm in that scary phase right now. So now it's like, okay, we don't sleep much. And like, but then we realize we can do it.
Yeah. But this is a stage where you have to set another goal, right? Set another big dream that you could achieve. And, kind of calm those nerves down and say, gosh, I'm really doing this stage because I have to go through it. I have to, face this challenge, because you're not going to know how your business is going to grow.
Right.
So you got to set that next dream and be like, for me with Britton and Flux was like, okay, Nordstrom's wasn't enough. I want to get into Gap, knowing that Gap only carries Gap, collections. They don't do any branded t-shirts, with other company names in their stores. But I set that dream there. I'm like, nah, I'm going to get into Gap. I'm going to meet that buyer, and I guarantee you he's going to buy my shirt. Right. And they did. So that's the stage you're in right now, is you just got to take another leap, dream big, and, set another goal for yourself, and let those nerves calm, and just work hard, because this is the dream you're living right now. Right. So that's what you dreamt about.
I love that mindset. Like, I love how you keep saying like, this is the dream, because I just was doing a bunch of repairs on the new studio, and it was hard labor. Like I can barely use my right hand right now. Like my wrist and my hand are done. And usually I would have been like bummed out. I would have been like, nobody helps me. Like I'm all alone in this world, whatever. And yesterday was like, I did that all by myself. Like I ripped up that carpet. I stripped up that adhesive. Like I painted the floors. I painted the walls. Like I patched the hole in the floor. I patched a hole in the floor, you guys. Not awesome. One on the wall, but one on the floor.
And I was like proud of myself at the end of it, but it's the dream. Like that's what you asked. There's a song by Halsey and she says, this is what you asked for. And it's like, no, this is what you asked for. I wanted this. So now here we are.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes because the process, like what you went through yesterday, sometimes the process is a grind and it's not fun. And something that I kind of struggle with is seeing the major big dream ahead, but the path to get to that dream is so blurry and so unclear. I don't know what step to take next sometimes. And so like, it just can be overwhelming because you're like, I'm this far away from it, but I have all these steps ahead of me. But I think it's just taking one thing at a time and trusting the timing of everything, because sometimes if that dream were to land in your lap too soon, you wouldn't be like equipped with the skills to handle it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and that's one of the things is that I've learned as well, and because I've been in that similar situation, is as entrepreneurs, you're always meeting people, right? And no matter how difficult a meeting is to make, you always take that meeting, no matter in the scale of high or low of what that meeting is going to get out, bring to you as an entrepreneur. You take it. Because you just never know where that person is going to land you. I've always said life is it's a circle. That person, that meeting you take, 6 months down the road, you're going to feel that connection again and be like, man, I'm glad I took that meeting. Because they did something, or introduce you to someone else that's going to make you more successful or whatever the case may be, so.
Timing is a weird thing. I have a question on the dream note. As far as like, because what Britton said about having, because for me, my dream is unclear because there's so many directions Haven and Flux can go.
Right.
And so it's just like, seems chaotic. It seems like that fire around that microphone over there.
You got to pick one. Pick one.
Pick one.
Pick one.
But then I'm like, the one that I think is the most realistic is the one that I don't want to do. Like retail, I feel like it keeps going towards retail. Like people keep being like, retail is the thing. Like you need to go and open your own shop. And I'm like, I don't, and like do candle pouring.
Not necessarily. Retail's never the answer. It's not the,
I've worked retail.
Exactly. The business is tough.
That overhead is not a pretty look.
It's not a pretty look, Now, there's two sides of retail, right? Either you want to be the vendor for the retailer, you supply your candle to those stores, or do you want to have your own, shop?
Right.
They're both challenging for sure, but in their different ways. It's just which one. You got to pick one and take your business there.
That's helpful. So I have to pick the one everybody wants me to pick.
No, you know your business better than anyone.
You know it better than.
Well, and I love supporting small businesses, and we talked about that a couple episodes ago, where it was like I absolutely love like providing my products that I know sell to a retailer who gets a nice margin on it to sell my products, and then reorders it, and like everybody's happy. Like I love doing that kind of a thing. So
there you go. I think that's it right there. Then you just grow that side of the business.
But if the opportunity comes, you will get your candles into a big box, right?
Oh, big box has always been on my list of things because I just have to figure out how to do that because big box takes takes a lot.
Yeah,
they'd like to take a percentage.
It's okay.
Nice hefty one.
So, Jesse, of all the jobs that you've done, what one has been your favorite and what one has been your least favorite and why?
Wow. Gosh, my favorite's, being a fireman. It's something I love and, get to be able to help people, on a daily basis.
Seems kind of heavy though.
I mean, it's tough, it's hard, but it's something that I enjoy, makes me happy. If someone would say, shit, you're not going to get paid, for the rest of your career as a fireman, I'll be like, okay, I'll keep doing it.
How many people would say that?
Yeah.
I think that's what we need, more people like Jesse.
Wow.
Protecting and serving.
No, but it's just something that it's rewarding, right? So, the business side of stuff, is just more passion. I know I'm good at brand developing and telling stories on each individual, for their own brand. And, going back to passport licensing, at first my clothing line was called Britton and Fox, and that was my LLC. It was Britton and Fox. But once I started realizing big box retailers were coming to me asking me if I could, private label a collection for their own retail store, I was like, heck yeah, like, all right, I got me a niche here, So I started passport licensing, and passport licensing is what ended up, owning Britton and Fox, because I saw the value, right? So I like I said, it's a game of chess, not checkers. Started noticing that these retailers were seeking me for, brand development of a private label. So I knew right away, I set a dream big, right? This is my exit strategy right here. If I got to turn around and sell this company, I got value now, because I got big box retail coming to passport licensing for brand development for their own private collections. At the same time, they're buying my own brand to get into retail. So
we have so much overlap. Like it's, I feel like the passport, I'm going to have to you and I are going to have to touch base on this separate, because
for sure.
I feel like there's a theme like with the firefighting and then also with the branding, because you help people, and your branding definitely has helped people, and you take your skills, and you don't necessarily, something that you guys can obviously tell is Jesse's very humble, and so he doesn't want the glory for himself. He wants other people to get the credit, but he just helps them. It's like, that's pretty amazing. There's not many people out there like that.
Thank you.
It's true.
Britton, tell us what BLFT is all about, because it's my favorite place to shop.
The Biggest Little Fashion Truck is a family-owned and operated boutique on wheels. We got started 5 years ago because I had this deep desire to make women feel more confident. And I found out that one of the many ways you can enhance your confidence was through clothing. Hence our why, confidence through clothing.
We love some confidence in our lives.
We pride ourselves in bringing back that old school expertise in customer service by providing an experience, whether it be at our pop-up events around town.
We love the pop-up events. I'm at those with her all the time, and they are fire.
Or we have a storefront, the Babe Cave. We just want each and every babe to feel better and be ready to be seen after shopping with us. Shop us online at the Babe Cave or our pop-up events at local businesses around town. We can't wait to see you. And a little something special we have for you. Use promo code BOB20 for 20% off your purchase online.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna be shopping today.
Always keeping it positive within your relationships, within business, and business isn't easy. That's not it's not easy to stay positive at all. So can you talk a little bit about how this is staying positive has helped you navigate? How do you stay positive? And how does it keep you landing on your feet every single time?
Well, I mean, having a great family, showing my kids that, working hard is what you got to do in life, but at the same time, give, right? As much as I work hard being an entrepreneur or, being a fireman, I apply those same models at home. Because, it's about giving, right? So as soon as I get home, I'm right there, in support of, the family and the kids and, everything else that goes along with, the to-do list, all of it, I wish I could just be home and just, sit on my butt and rest. But no, I mean, I know that I have to apply that same mentality at home as well as, growing a business. So I think that's the balance that, makes success. So for any entrepreneur, and you just got to give. You got to give yourself. You're going to miss a lot of birthdays, friends, camping, trips, all this stuff. But, home, becomes priority, to really, have that good balance. So
I think it's important too, and I'm realizing this now in this stage of my life, because I love to help other people and be there. And I've had to scale back a little bit. I used to literally drive up to my friend's house in Portola and I shoveled her car out of Like I like to do that kind of stuff. It brings me joy, but I pulled away from it for almost like 6 months, a year, because and Britton and I just talked about this yesterday, because I was like, I'm giving so much of myself. I don't have a lot of my own time for myself. And I was like feeling hurt by it, because I was like, who's going to help me? Like nobody's helping me. I'm giving and nobody's giving back to me. But instead, and again, this is just new. This is like in the last week, I've realized this. My neighbors were sick. And I love to feed people. Like, I just love to feed people.
That's awesome.
So in the last week, I fed 2 of my neighbors, and like that brought me joy. And instead of like when yesterday I was really tired, I would have loved for somebody to cook me a meal yesterday, but you have to change your mindset of like, I didn't do that so that they would feed me. I did that because I knew that they needed help, and I wanted to do a kind thing. Yeah. And also like it brought me joy to do that. That was like the and I'm air quoting, but like selfish thing to do. And yeah, I don't know, it like just changing your mindset too, to like be positive about the things that you do for other people. And you are truly, when I worked at Nordstrom, I went through their management program.
Okay.
And they talk about servant leadership. And that was the biggest thing I took away, and that I still like I carried with me through my career. And like every part of your life, you practice servant leadership. So that's cool.
Awesome. It's good to hear.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah, I had the school of hard knocks, the street. So, just learning it the hard way. But, it's something is if you really put your mind and your soul and your heart to it, it's, you could achieve anything. Anything's possible. So,
right. A little bit of hard work, or actually a hell of a lot of hard work.
Yeah. Seriously. I mean, this leads perfectly into our next question about balance, because obviously you have so much on your plate, but you enjoy life at the same time. And just give some tips on like how you do that. Do you turn your phone off at night? Do you have app? Like, what do you do that kind of protects your Shangri-La or your time alone with your family?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I wish I could say, well, she would love for me to turn my phone off at home, but business is always going, right? You're always going to get those phone calls as entrepreneurs. You're building something special, not just for yourself, but, for many people, right? And that you employ or, you have underneath you that, you're building. But, just like, I said previously, it's just really putting that same effort that you put into your businesses. You do the same thing for your family. And no matter what way, there's, invitations out there, that I get, and it's like, hey, let's go camping for the weekend. And it's like, man, but, I know the wife wants to, go to, a certain, event that she wants to go to. So I focus on that, so it's just putting that effort into your family in the same as you do to your businesses, and you balance everything out. So I think that's helped me a lot, obviously I still pick up my phone and, read the text messages, because you have to, you can't just shut it off. Mm-hmm. So, but if you give your family life, the same effort and energy, I think, it'll be a success as well.
Yeah, just kind of prioritizing those people, and then also balancing with prioritizing your businesses and your well-being. Yeah, it's hard to do. Britt and I are really big into personality types, and we're both projectors, which means that we have high energy for like certain amount of time, but then we literally have to recharge or else we're kind of worthless. And so that's something that I've learned for myself is like, I have to take some hours like away from my phone, or like I have to take a day to just recharge, or else I'm just like I'm not producing anything.
No, it's funny you say that, because I wake up at 4:30 in the morning every morning, to go to the gym at 5, and it gives me a little time to just escape. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's my no calls, no text message zone, and, by 8 o'clock, gosh, I feel like I've accomplished a lot and I'm ready to go, so that's every day for me. You know,
4:30 a.m.
4:30 a.m.
Yeah. What about sleep? Does that mean anything to you?
Not at the moment. Yeah, not
What
at the
time do you
moment.
go to bed?
You know what? I go to bed pretty early. You know, you're 8:30, 9 o'clock. You know.
Okay.
So I get some hours.
Unless
you
I'm
know.
out doing something.
Yeah.
Because I like,
Oh, the
she's always like, you
weekend.
wake up at 5:30, like, and now it's just natural.
Right,
like, I don't even get a
right.
choice. Like, I'm up at
Yeah.
like 5:25 has been the latest and greatest. And
Nice.
it just is. So I like panic about my bedtime. Because I'm
Right.
like, okay, you gotta go to bed by 10 or you're gonna be a mess
Yeah.
tomorrow.
That's too funny.
What is one thing you wish that you were better at? Sleeping? No.
Sleepy. No, you know what's funny? Actually, I've always told myself I wish I, could take some classes on how to be a public speaker. Because that's my, my biggest fear.
You're doing great.
Oh, thank you. Well,
Wow,
it's
you would
only us
never
in
know.
here, so there's
Yeah.
no public.
Well,
but-
because I'm listening to you and you're like reminding me a lot of Ed Milet. Like a
Wow.
lot.
Totally. Yeah.
Like so
Yeah.
much because there's a lot of overlap in the way
Right.
you start your day just with you
Right.
and like he starts his day just with him.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know.
Yeah, no,
That's
you
great.
do remind me of Ed Milet. Well, I'm sure that if you had the opportunity to speak in front of a lot of people and you just don't like it, or you just wish.
No, I mean, I've had, and I think I just choke up, you know what I mean? So it's a challenge, right? A little fear. And I guess, I just need to, just
Interesting.
learn how to not to choke up in front of big crowds.
Well, I didn't.
Just be
I mean,
yourself.
The problem
know?
with public speaking is that because I like that's a thing I'm good at is like, but it's because I was forced to do
Right.
it so much and like, and then even recently I had to public speak again and I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Like and I'm like, oh my God, you're out of practice. Like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, you just have to do it to get over that fear.
Yeah.
All public speaking is like having a voice and having something worthwhile to
Right.
say, which you definitely do have
Right.
both
well,
of those
and
things.
being genuine. You're
Right.
so genuine and passionate about what you talk about. So
Yeah.
I think that is, but it is really hard. It's something that I used to be really, really afraid of. But what I learned is that I was afraid because I wasn't prepared, and I was afraid because I didn't know what I was talking about. When it came to school, I wasn't the best student. But now, like, I've had a lot of opportunity to speak, and
Right.
I think preparing and being confident in what I have to say and knowing that I do know what I'm talking about is a huge confidence booster for me, at least. So
Great advice.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's been good. Okay. So what is your why? What keeps you going?
It's a hard question, actually. It's the why you don't think about it too much as you're moving along, right? You're always, it's in your head, the dream, right? And you don't think about the why too much, but really it's simple when it comes to, the family and the kids, right? You want to leave something behind and show them that working hard is how you're going to be successful. No one's going to hand it over or give it to you. You know what I mean? So, and if that happens, there's always, an opposite end to that. So I'd rather just work hard and, leave something for the kids either by, hey, I tried, I failed, but I gave it my all. So.
How special is that with his daughter is in the studio right now, Mia. She's sitting with us right now. So that's so cool. And like, what an awesome dad. Like, not even like, I'm going to just tell you, but I'm going to show you and you can learn from my mistakes. But just know that like, there's nothing that they can't achieve because you've obviously shot for the moon,
Yeah.
And
which is
landed
good.
on
Yeah.
It landed in the stars so far.
Yeah.
I love when all of our family-based entrepreneurs come on here and say the kids. I'm always like hoping, I'm waiting for somebody to come on here and say it's not the kids, and then I'm gonna be like, get out of the studio.
Yeah,
That's too funny.
no, it's so cool.
Okay, so we play this game. It's not really a game. We just ask more questions, but they're quicker.
Go for it.
And they're not as serious. Do you want to start it or should I?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Name one high of last year and one low.
Wow, one high. I definitely achieved the goal that I was striving for quite a bit. One of the big dreams, right? And that was, so with the Record Street Brewing and the Alpine, I also owned the building at the time, and my whole dream was to brand develop this building to have this thriving, cool business that just produces culture, right? No matter what genre. And, but at the same time, be a successful business while it's, moving. And, with the exit strategy, as far as the property goes and putting it up for sale for a high number that for the area wasn't achievable. And, I closed the deal.
It was awesome.
This is so great. Okay, I just want to touch on this because this is part of the story that we haven't, and I know a little bit of the backstory of Record Street. So, Jesse, you bought the building, and everyone was like, "Why would you do this? It's right next to the homeless shelter." But talk about when you told me about turning the positive and tuna. I'll let you go from there. But everyone was hating on you, and then now look at what happened, and look what you created. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's funny is. I think I told you guys before, I started looking into the whole Midtown area at the time when, Hillary, she was still, working at Plato's Closet,
Yeah, the Midtown
creation. And it was just growing, and I got pushed out in a couple of bids there. And, I went to 4th Street and I saw this orange facade, beautiful building. And I'm like, what? Can't believe I drove by this place multiple times and I never keen to pay attention to it. And this time I did, and went through, jumping hurdles to try to find who owned it, and finally found them. And through an article, and just Googling Alpine Glass Company, I found the name of the owner because he wasn't listed on the assessors. He wasn't anywhere. And I lived in Midtown. So I went to his house and knocked on his door and said, "Hey, I'm interested in your property." And he's like, he, peeks through, the crack of his door and he shuts it on me. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing here? And he comes around, Midtown's how they have, the driveway around on the side of the house. He comes, behind the back door. He has a gun with him and a little paper with a phone number. And he's like, "Call my son, he'll take care of you."
Oh my God.
And this is like an 80-year-old dude with a shotgun and the phone number. And I'm like, oh my God, I was just going to get shot.
That's a knocking
on this guy's door,
Classy.
So, from there on, I called the son who lived in New York, and, he's like, "Jess, just make us an offer." And I made a, decent offer, which at the time, after, closing escrow, he's like, "Man, we were just going to donate it to the city." And I'm like, oh my God, what did I do here? So, but I was happy. It was a, respected, reasonable offer for the property. And, once I started applying for all the licenses, with the city, I mean, even the city employees were like, "Dude, what are you doing? Go down south. Jess, don't develop here. This is not going anywhere." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm investing in your city. I live here. I want this area to change." You know what I mean? Not me, as a steward here, but, you should be, pushing me to do this,
right,
instead of, pushing me out. I'm like, see, that's the problem. That gave me more fuel,
right,
to even work harder, in accomplishing my goal and, in this big dream that I had. So, the homeless shelter was there, and, it didn't bother me at all. I just, saw that as an opportunity to, expose it.
I was just going to say, because now I got all fired up, but obviously, my brother suffers with schizoaffective disorder, and he's been in and out of that shelter, and they drop he's been to jail for stealing a toothbrush when he was homeless. And when he got out, they drop him off at that bus stop, and they know that he's medicated when he's in jail. They don't give him any of his medication.
Right.
They give him bus fare to get to that bus stop. And nobody realizes that that's how our system works. And then if nobody's there to pick my brother up, then he just has to live there. Right. And so I love that you're exposing that, because when I go down there, I just see different versions of my brother. I don't see whatever everybody else is seeing. And I think maybe I used to see it that way, but now after having like, having had to pick my brother up from that space, like, I don't know, it just hits different. And it's important that people, like, there are ugly parts of our world that we have to look at dead in the face. So like,
no doubt. I mean, and that was my whole goal, as in exposing it, because the way I viewed it was, if I got 10 people coming in the door to enjoy the space, I know one person out of that 10 is going to lend a hand. You know what I mean? So, and that's what makes me thrive. You know what I mean? That was my whole goal in this whole journey. So yeah, I mean, it's been a fun venture. It's with Record Street Brewing, and going back to the branding side of things, everyone knew Record Street here in Reno as a negative, right? As the homeless shelter. So I capitalized on that. I'm like, I'm a branding guy. I'm like, everyone already saying Record Street, like it flows very well. Yeah. So I'm gonna turn that negative into a positive, because it's in people's minds already in Reno, right? And so I named the brewery Record Street Brewing, and it just started clicking. No one ever thought about it, being the homeless shelter anymore. I just capitalized on that brand that was out there already. So
it made it shiny.
It made it shiny and give it a heartbeat.
Gave it a disco ball.
And, at the same time, I exposed, the issues that Reno was going through, and, it got a lot of help.
Yeah.
Got a lot of attention and help. So.
Oh, I love that. I have like full body children.
I know. It's so cool. It's also like such a good lesson, like to hear that story, because when everyone around you is telling you no, like you still thought to yourself, I'm going to stay true to like my inner compass, my purpose, like what you knew to be true. And that's really difficult to do when the outside voices are chiming in your ear of what are you going to do? Oh, that's a bad decision. You should have gone here. Like all of those things, and you still stayed true, and it has been a major success. So staying true to yourself is something that you have to do along the way as business. You always get, we both do, get flustered from the outside.
I do, yeah. Well, I think it's easier for me to get flustered because I am very alone. Like I not to say like I'm alone literally. Like I know I have people who support me and love me and care about me. But at the end of the day, it's just me in the house with my thoughts and all the shit that people threw at me throughout the day. So like, you're sitting there and you're like, well, was that valid what that person said? And there's nobody there who knows you to your core. And I don't think I've ever had that. Like where somebody just like knows me. My closest thing would probably be Britton, because she's like, no, why would you do that? Like just stay, the thing you're supposed to do. Like you already feel strong about that thing. Just stay on that path. So I don't like have that.
Well, I think entrepreneurship is a very lonely place to be sometimes because there is no blueprint.
We're on the same boat.
Like there's no blueprint for Record Street. There's no blueprint for Haven and Flux, and there's no blueprint for the truck. It's like we have to stay true to us. And there's constantly people that come in and chime and say, you should. Yeah. And it could be your close people. Like I'm lucky my husband's a great sounding board, but he doesn't know what the fire that is inside of me. And he doesn't know like the drive I have to make things work. Right. And so it's like, it's lonely. So I think talking with each other, like when Jesse talks, you're just like, I'm just like, I relate. And like when you say stuff, I'm like, I relate to that so much. But friends who aren't entrepreneurs don't get it.
I even think about like the puppy because like you look at
that's her ex-boyfriend, by the way.
She calls me. Sorry,
so we don't say his name.
I don't want to say his name on the podcast. But I look at the last like year of my life because we've been separated for a year now, and like I don't know if it's just like having the person in your house in your ear like constantly, or if it was the growth I've had in the last year, like I just, especially with moving into this space, I'm sitting here and I'm like seeing what he's doing currently, which is the same thing he was doing last year.
Right.
And then I'm thinking about what I'm doing, which is like been such a hard year, but like this is where I am now. And I feel like proud of myself and I feel growth and I feel like all of these awesome things. And I'm like, yeah, I think that who you surround yourself with and who you keep in your circle is like, and to your point earlier, it's your circle gets small when you're an entrepreneur.
It's very small.
And you have to
one or two people and that's it,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know millions of people, but I only keep like 5 close.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really important. And you can really, I think it's important to evaluate that no matter what you do in your life, like if you're an entrepreneur or not.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and it's nice to have the cheerleaders that like cheer you on, but they don't necessarily know like the ups and downs, you know? But yeah, I think that just looking to other entrepreneurs that you can trust.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do have one girlfriend. Sorry, I just have to say this real quick because she's so funny. I called her on Friday and I was like, nobody's helping me. And she's like, so did you call anybody and ask for help? And I was like, well, no. And she's like, so how is anybody going to know that you need help?
Yeah.
And I was like, whoopsies.
Yeah.
But you have to go through those challenges as an entrepreneur, because or else, once you get to that, to that stage where you're successful, you've done it all, you could recall all this hardship, right? That got you there. So you have to, and that's why entrepreneurs, like, we're just discussing, it's a lonely life because no one knows, what I mean, the hardship that goes behind it. But once that you're at the stage and you hit that success, it'll be all worth it.
Yeah.
It's still not glamorous though.
Not glamorous.
It looks glamorous.
No.
And it's still like the grind,
Yeah.
but I guess it just every kind of roadblock that you get through just builds the confidence so that you know that you can bet on yourself for the next million that are coming, that are in the horizon.
Yeah. They're coming whether you want them to or not.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so name one thing you do for self-care. Is that the working out?
Yeah, I mean, that's waking up at 4:30. It's just me by myself, just, getting out of the house and working out, or, a little drive and, checking up on things. But that's just me just meditating. That's my meditation there, where I get to really think and process and prioritize and, enjoy, little successful stages of my life and business. And, then 8 o'clock comes around, it's back to the grind. So
I have a question for you on that note. What are you doing as a workout?
As a workout, it's so funny. I wish I would do more, but it's very light stuff, nothing too crazy. It's just, lifting, a lot of stretching and running, so that's pretty much it. Nothing too, challenging. I wish I could, push it a little more, but gosh, it's just my mind's always spinning, right?
Yeah.
So it affects my ability to really, because I know that working out right now, I just got to do it to meditate, but it's not a goal that I'm trying to achieve.
Right.
I'm just doing it just to release.
Right. And also heart health and all of that.
Yep.
I have another question for you. It just came up, it's not on the thing. So when you hit your successes or failures, like how long do you sit and like celebrate those? Like, cause I've had a struggle where I haven't felt successes for a long time. And then I look back and I'm like, damn, I should have kind of stayed in the moment a little bit longer. But I've always been, I think it's maybe a sports mindset.
That's
where it's like, it doesn't matter if you hit a home run the last at bat. All that matters is this at bat or this pitch, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't let myself feel some successes, and I have recently, and it's felt really good. But also, like, how long do you sit with success and failure, I guess is my question for you.
Yeah, it's not very long, gosh, I wish, exactly. No, seriously.
Like one evening.
Yeah, it might be one evening and that's it, really. And then it might not be that same evening, right? It might be like, for instance, that what I was talking about, achieving my goal with the property, I'd really celebrated New Year's Eve. That was my day where I was like, I'm letting it all out, because I had my wife with me. It was just fun. It was good times, so it was really like 24 hours. Right. But, with both, failure and success, they go hand to hand. You can't enjoy too much as an entrepreneur. You always got to be, because with failure, you got to start thinking about the opportunities. Like, okay, how do I get up from this and, make it successful, and learn from it, and, keep moving forward, because we're not quitters. We got to keep going. So, and to build that next, idea, next empire, the next, big dream. So, and it's goes along with success, as an entrepreneur, you're always going to be an entrepreneur. We don't have those butterflies in our stomach that hold us back. We just go for it.
That's
you want to turn them off sometimes, huh? I just want to be normal for one Sunday.
Yeah, seriously.
Can I not feel like I'm failing for taking a nap? But
I mean, even Britton, because she was like, so are you excited? Like everybody's like, are you excited about the new space? And it's like, no, no, I'm not. I mean, I am, but I'm not.
You'll have your moment when you're moved in and you're sitting there in an evening and you're like, wow, I built this. This is Flux headquarters, and you'll have your moment, but it's hard because
you're doing the right thing. Because one thing about branding is you want to put the brand in front of, in front of the consumers, even though behind it, you're not fully organized. It's just not organized, but in brand development, you always want the saying is you fake it till you make it.
1,000%.
Right? So that's branding. That's that's entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're faking it, and behind that, you're scrambling to put it all together to build it.
I built that space in 1.5 days.
No, it was a great job. I saw that.
Literally blown away.
So that you're doing a great job. Keep going for it.
Thank you. That's all the celebration we can have.
That's it.
No. Okay, so I want to ask this because of Record Street. What is your drink of choice? Your AM and your PM?
Coffee, AM, and obviously beer. I'm a beer guy.
What kind of beer drinker are you?
It's funny. I've never in my life been an IPA drinker, and just lately, I've just been digging the IPAs. I don't know why,
IPA.
But yeah.
I would kill for an IPA. They would literally destroy my body.
Yeah, they hurt.
Yeah, they hurt.
What is a book or a podcast that has changed your life?
Joe Rogan. I listen to him. He's a genius, and I love it. Just the way he intellectually just smart about things. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, definitely pay attention to him for sure.
I love him as well because I feel like when everyone is thinking one way and is hopping on board, he sits back and is like, I'm just going to think about this for a second, and he thinks differently. And so I love it. And obviously people love it because he's the number one podcast.
He's like I say, he's a genius. This guy's smart, and I love that about him.
What's your hype song right now?
I would say, one that I throw on all the time is Nipsey, grinding all the time,
grinding all my life.
That's it, grinding all my life. And it's something that, relates to us, so entrepreneurs, he knows it, and if you, really pay attention to his lyrics, he's a smart dude. Fortunately he passed away, but, he was just, he was an entrepreneur. He knew it's just like me being a fireman and having all these businesses. He was a rapper, but at the same time, he had, condos, he had apartment complexes, shopping retail stores that he owned. Education that he gave back, to his community. And that's what you do, So
you guys are very similar.
Yeah, I was going to say that's what you do.
Some brand alignment there.
That's not what we do. We would like to do that, but we're not there yet. Okay. In our last question, we asked to all of our guests, if you could give one piece of advice to someone starting out in business or just simply some words of advice to live by, what would it be?
Everything's possible. Dream big, surround yourself around people that, push you and, are more successful than you because you'll learn, try to seek that. And, as entrepreneurs you just got to know, you got to put in the work, and dream big. And, the path is to dream, so.
Dream and work hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Onward.
Yes.
Grind all the time. Yeah.
Work hard, stay humble.
Yeah.
Well, Jesse, what a treat to have you.
Seriously.
So much knowledge was dropped today. I mean, I wish we could have we're going to have you back if you don't mind. And we can
awesome.
just talk branding or something like that, because
I would love to.
this was just so beneficial for us. And I know our listeners are going to love it. Tell our listeners where they can find you.
Yeah, they can find me at, Record Street Brewing. Yeah, I'm always popping in there all the time, and come on down, have a beer and a pizza, and, ask questions. And I'm always open to, meeting new people and answering all the questions. Or at the Alpine, I'll be catching a show there. So, stop on in.
And that's something that he really means, because you literally take time for everyone. Like, it doesn't matter. Like the homeless man in front of Record Street, you take time with him and you value people. So, and like, what a great resource you are. So if you guys have a chance to have a conversation with Jesse, it'll change your life. Highly recommend tracking him down.
Yep. He's going to be like, hold on a second. No.
Don't stalk him.
Yeah, don't stalk him. But he's worth it, but don't do it.
Thank you.
Okay, so y'all know the drill. Follow along, Brit on Blast, and find us at BLFT Reno and Haven and Flux. If you guys like the show, subscribe and review Brit on Blast on whatever platform you're listening on. We love y'all so much. Thank you so much, Jesse, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And thanks for listening, y'all. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.